Hmm. Are we live? Yes, I think we are live. Uh, Let me check. Let me check. Yes, we are live. We are live. Amazing. Uh, Happy New Year, everyone. I hope I am absolutely audible. Today, as the title suggests, we are going to implement Logger. I did it earlier on previous stream, a little bit a kind of giving it a cold start, but at that time I think my LSP was not working because I just set it up my this environment. So but we are back now. All right, so let's start with building a new project, Logger, called Logger. All right, let's cd inside it. Let's open it. Amazing. We are here. All right, so before that, let me just uh, like tell you what are we going to do. So we are going to create a file based logger. All right, so you must be aware from the loggers, right? They used to log info, errors and all, warnings and all, right? You must be aware of those. So we are going to do that, implement that in Rust. So for that, we will have a directory called logs. Inside that we will trace all these logs into a separate file, info.log for info logs, error.log for error logs and so on. So we'll do that. So what will be the execution flow? It will be, for now, we will make it blocking, because when we flush the changes onto a file, uh, it's a good amount of operation, right? We'll optimize it later. For optimizing, what we can do, we can create a separate thread. We can initiate a separate thread for IO operations only. We'll use channels for that. All right. uh, Sorry, we'll use channels for that, so that our main thread that is working as a server or as a program, it won't get affected. There will be a separate thread that will do these IO operations. But for now, for startup, what we are going to do, we will just use only the single thread that is going to run our program, and that is also log that will also log our infos and errors. All right, so so what we'll do, we'll create a logger struct, right? We'll provide in some properties to it. We will implement, extend the implementation to this thing. We'll create a new function, info, error and all, and something like that. We'll do that. All right, so this will be the outline of the thing that we are doing. So I am let me just check how many people are watching. I don't know, basically. I cannot see any viewer right now. Why is this happening? Let me check. Sorry. If you are there, guys, I can see there are no concurrent viewers right now. If I just double tap this thing, you can see I cannot see a viewer right now. The concurrent viewers are 0. But anyways, if you are watching this, let me know if the stream is going well. All right. And also I am pinning down some on the comments my GitHub repo and all. So maybe you guys can check that out too, and you'll find this code that I'm working on over there. All right. Not now. Let me just implement it. Then I'll create a repo offline and then push it. Okay. So here is my GitHub handle. You guys can check that out. So anyways, let's just do that. I hope the stream is going fine. Yes, it is on the CPU. I can see the load is quite high for my system. It's an old system, but anyways, let's see. All right, let's remove this generic hello world. Probably open the tree. Let me just open the OBS over here so that I can know if you are able to see that. Okay, amazing. I'm not looking into the chat now. I have a separate window that has OBS opened, as you can see. So I'll be monitoring OBS if there is any issue or something like that. Okay. So yeah, over here inside src, let's create a directory called logger. Inside this, let's create mode.rs, and inside logger, let's create you know what, let's create operations.rs, right? On the mode, let's say, let's call this thing, right? And let me call this on the main as well, because I'm going to use it over here, right? How do we do that? Correct. Let me see if there is linking to it. Yes, it is. Okay. We are on the ops right now. So let's see. Let's think about it. What are we going to do? Oopsie. Let's close the file tree for now. So we are on over here, right? We'll create a struct, right? We'll create a enum, and what does that enum have? It will have the log levels, right? And why we are using an enum over here? Why do we use an enum? What is an enum? I already have a video about that. It's not a live video, but I keep ranting about it. If you have a finite set of possibilities, you can use enum for that, right? I created a video over here. I given just give me a minute, guys. Give me a All right, we are here. Yes, where were we? It was my mother. Actually, I have catched cold, fever, everything, cough, headache, everything at once. It happens. So yeah. The good thing about things you love is no matter what, you keep showing up. Not online, but to your work. So yeah. Okay. Log levels. Yes, we are here. So I already said if you have a finite set of possibilities that you want to use, I already have that video about it, where I take an example of traffic light. So traffic light has three colors, basically three possibilities, either red, yellow or green. So enum will be the best way to describe that thing, because we cannot have a purple light, right? It's a finite set. So we'll have enum called log levels. That's what I'm thinking currently. You can have a different like strategy to do so, and you are open to do that. So log levels, what does it will have? It will have info, errors, warning, and debug. I'm going to implement only I mean, it's not a I'm not going to implement all of these. I mean, possibly they are just a copy paste of, each thing, apart from the change in the file. But I hope you get this right. So we'll declare a struct, we'll have a enum, that's it. And for that struct, what we'll do, we will extend the implementation over here. We'll use this thing, impl struct, not the keyword one but the name. All right, and inside this impl thing, what we are going to do, we are going to create methods like new, maybe format log, if you want to have a specific pattern to show it on the, or to log it on the file, format log or log info, and the same way it implies to log error and so on, right? So let's do that. So let's create a enum first, log levels, log levels will have info, error, warning, and debug. Let's say debug, we want to debug, we want a debug as well, because if you are working on an application and we want some debug logs, we can use this info type, and possibly on the when we are going to deploy this application, we may omit the logs of debug on the git ignore. But for now, what I'll do, I'll completely ignore all the logs. You should not do that. A server should have its own logs, right? You will not push it. So how to do that? On the git ignore, we'll do .log, whatever this any file start but ends with .log, we'll simply ignore it. All right. One more thing over here. If I want to show the timestamp, I'm going to use chronocrate for that, right? I'll use chronocrate, and in order to add that chronocrate to our project, we'll simply use cargo add chrono. So okay, it's done. So we have our enum, log levels, info, error, warning, debug. Now this enum will be used when we call our info log, error log, warning log, just to show the type of what type of log it is. All right. Let's create a struct. Let's say it logger, right? What do we want over here? We'll have info file. Yes, one more thing. What field should I keep in logger? If you're watching this, what do you think? So let's imagine, you can imagine a scenario or a kind of flow in your back of your mind, that how can you initiate, like what you will do if you want to log something. Let's say if you want to log something, what you'll do, you will simply let's say you will write something like logger dot log info if it's an info, right? And if it's an error, you will say logger in the catch statement or something, you will say logger dot error. But that let's focus on that logger thing, that logger keyword. When you initiate that logger keyword, what you want to do when you initiate a thing? Would you initiate a logger, a, a variable? So you want the files to be created or checked, right? Are they there or not? Or when you start a logger, when you initiate a logger, you need the references of all those things, info, error, warning and all, so that you can pass that variable onto the flow and use those things, right? So we are going to do the same thing over here. We'll have all those info, error and log files initiated, and we will hold the reference to those things onto our variable. And when we want to log those things, we will do the same thing. We'll simply say logger dot log info, logger dot debug, or logger dot logger dot log error and something like that, warning and all, right? So we'll do that. So let's do this thing. So here we'll hold info file, right? So I'm not like declaring anything right now, we'll discuss that thing, but let me just like complete this thing over here. Info warning file, error file, debug file, right? Now let's go over here. What is this info file? Why are we using a file, and what we will use over here so that we can hold the info file over here? What we'll do over here, so let's say this thing file, correct? Can we do that? This is file, right? Sorry. But do you think it is a good way to write a simple file over here? Let's say we have multiple functions that are logging into a single file. So we will have only single file called info.log, and let's imagine we have 10 functions that are logging. Let's say we have our server running over there, right? And 10 people are hitting onto 10 different API endpoints, and we are logging the info for these, right? The request received, or maybe error occurred on 10 of them individually, parallelly, right? So if let's say there is an info file or an error file, and 10 of the functions are like writing to that file, will that be okay to write a simple file over here? How we can prevent this in Rust? How we can implement a thing where this file will be shared across multiple threads, and each thread, so let's say if there is a thread that is accessing there is a function call that is writing to this info file, the other things can wait, or just wait, so that one thing wait for the execution of a currently going on thing, and then just move on to write on that file. So how do we do that? Any guesses? Any guesses on the chat? How to do that? How to share the data across multiple threads? How to make this operation thread safe? There is a thing called mutex. So if I wrap this thing into this thing, mutex, this file into mutex, we are good now. It's okay. Now what will happen is, let's say 10 functions that are logging onto an info file. So let's say one function, the other threads will kind of wait. So we have a kind of a function called .log when we deal with mutex. So what happens is, the other threads will wait for the log to be released, and they will just wait, and once the log is released, the other threads that are waiting will execute one by one. So the data will not be, either dropped or something like that. So if you want to see what happens, we have an excellent this IntelliSense over here that says, what is a mutex? It's a mutual exclusion primitive that is used for protecting shared data. This mutex will block threads waiting for a lock to become available, right? The mutex can be created by a new constructor, that is okay. Each mutex has a type parameter that represent the data it is protecting. The data can only be accessed through RAII guards returned from lock and trilog, which guarantees that data is only ever accessed when the mutex is logged. So if we wrap this file, this info file onto the mutex, so let's say there are 10 functions that I already said. If we are going to access those things, that they will eventually wait for the log to be released. And if we want to write on something onto this file, we will have to take a log for that. Alright, so we'll be using .log method for that. So I'll be doing this for all the files over here. Right, now that we have struct in place, amazing. I can see chat rate 3, but I don't see chats. Sorry. What is that? I can see a chat rate of 5 viewers, but I cannot see the chats. Why is that? Can you guys hit off some random words on the chat so that I can see? I have an older system, so you can see the CPU is quite high over here. On my OBS, if I can show you, the CPU is almost at 72%. But the good thing is we have a good connection, touch wood. Amazing. Let's move on. So we have our struct ready, logger. Now how do we just we read here info about mutex. It says you can initiate a mutex by using new constructor, right? So if I want to create a new thing for logger so that I can initiate a logger, or I can initiate all these files, what I will do, I need a new keyword, right? So there is also a video that I did maybe on the previous live, if you have seen that, how we create new function and what is the difference between associated functions and the other functions, right? So let's do that. Let me just check one thing. Also let me start a poll. I'm not sure if you are guys are familiar with Rust. I don't know, because it's a kind of live that goes on shorts feed. It's a vertical thing. Let me just create a simple poll. So make sure you just opt for the poll. All right. All right. Sorry, I have created a poll. Make sure you guys opt for the poll. Alright, let's finish at least this basic thing to log onto file, right? I have a poll over here, as you can see, and we only have one or two votes for now, but that is great. Anyways, let's over here. So I will use this keyword impl, and I'll start creating a function. I'll say public function new. It will return a self, right? And I want to return logger over here. So this is how you create a constructor like function new, right? This is how you create a constructor like function so that I can initiate my logger somewhere. Okay, so inside this new I need to return a self. This is a return type statement for Rust, that arrow and self, right? So I'll have to return something over here like this, logger, and over here I can say info file, and to initiate a mutex, as we already did a thing called, we'll be using a new. Inside this I want a new sorry, I need an info file over here, right? So that info file I need to create a instance, right? What will be the info file? So let's create this thing. Let me comment this thing. I was just showing what we are going to do at the end. All right, so how I can get the info file over here? The thing is, if I want to return this logger and this file, we'll have to make certain changes over self, because I'm not going to use a simple fs. I'm going to use open options. So if you are not aware, let me just show you. Let me just open in the window. Can you see it? So if I go and say open options in Rust, so if I go over here, open options, so you can see this builder exposes the ability to configure how a file is opened. Let me know if you are able to see this. Maybe I can just do this. Okay, so it says so when using open option, you will first, so it is, I'll not use fs for that. I'll use open options. No water I have. I'll use open options, and I'll use that thing to create a file or a folder, or a file only. Open option will work only on files. We have to manually create a folder for now, but again we can do that programmatically as well. We can make a check on the program that whether the folder exists or not. If not, then we will simply create a it will create a directory, but we are not going to write that thing right now. We'll have a folder there already, but I have told how to do that. We can create a check to read for directory. If it's a valid directory, or if it's present there, that's okay. If not, it will create it. That should be the way. So we'll do something like this: open options, new, and read, write, create, and open. So there is a catch to it. If I use write over here, what will do, it will write each time to a file, but the catch over here is it will replace the entire text that is already present on the file with the new text. I'll show that that to you as well. But luckily we have a method over here that is called append, right? I'm sorry. Would you mind saying that what you do for living? What I do for living is what I'm doing right now. I may look homeless right now, but that's because I'm not feeling very well right now. Yeah, so luckily we have a method over here. We call it dot append. So we need to, whenever we initiate this open options, we need to provide these things over here so that we can do what we can do to a file. No problem, Kodesh. Thank you for being on chat. So yeah, these option provides give us the this instance ability about that file. We can read it, true. We can write it, true. We can create it, true. The good thing about open options is if the file is not there, it will create it and open, right? So so whenever, so yeah, so in order to write to a file, we need to have this check in place. But the demerit of this dot write is it will replace the entire thing that is already available. That's what we don't want to do with our log files, right? We have to implement the auto rotation thing separately, but we should not do it to replace the thing, right? We should append the thing. So we have dot append function available in open options, right? So if I use dot append, then I do not have to write this check specifically. So append under the hood implements dot write as well. So if I do dot append, then I don't need to write this the feature to be true, this ability of the open option, right? So we'll do that for all our cases for info, error, debug, and warning, right? So, and that file instance that we will create, this file instance will go inside this mutex for each of the file. I hope this would be clear enough. Sorry, right? It's 12:44. I'll have to leave at 1:30. Let's see if we can do that by 1:30. Yes, we can. So how do we do that? Well, let's simply say let info file equals open options. This is open options new, right? Over here I can say dot read true, right? So let me just show you what happens if I use dot write. So we'll simply go by dot write at first, and when we have our all things in place, we will update this to append just to show you guys that it will override the things, right? So I'll just say true. What else do we have over here? Open. We'll just write the file name over here. I'll say info dot log, right? We'll have this file. So we have read, write, open. What else do we have? Create. Yes, we need that one as well, right? True. So unfortunately, if I have to save this in somewhere in a folder or a directory, the open option won't work for directory. So we'll have to have some check over here, some directory check over here, right? So that it will check if the directory exists or not. Otherwise it will throw an error. I'll show you how. So if I just simply let me remove this thing. So if I just simply say not info.log, but I'll say logs slash info.log, right? I want to have it over here on the outside, over where we have a main file, right? So it won't work. I'll show you. It will throw an error, right? So for that we'll have to have a logs folder there, but if you don't want to create it manually, you should have a check in place. All right. So we have info file over here. Okay, now let's copy this thing and do it for the error and debug as well. Are we missing something? No. All right, let's do it. Error file, we'll have it on error.log, right? Let's copy this. Ooh, warning file. And we'll have it up to here. Now this one is for debug. So I could have just shown you about the two, like info and warning and all, but I'll write it all. I'll write the all. Okay, now I need to return the self over here, right? So info file would be over here. I'll say info file, and what else do we have? A warning file. I'll say mutex, a new warning file. Error file, we have mutex new error file, and debug file will have alright. So it says mismatched. Hey, cool emoji, thank you for being on chat. All right, it's Rust dominating. It is Rust. Amazing. We have got an error. The window is slightly like this. I did it for this thing, right? So I need to extend it a bit to see the actual error, or maybe I can do this. Maybe I can just open the terminal and just do cargo build so that we can see the error. Yes, please go ahead. Okay, so it says expect a reason. What is the error? Expected file found result. So it says this thing info, okay, it returns a result. It has a file and an error, but the thing is expected file, so maybe we need to change the return statement. Just exit this for now. Let's see what this open option return. Maybe go on to the docs. Okay. When using open options, you will first call this and the chain calls to the method set option. Okay, then call this parsing the file you're trying to open. Okay, this will give you a result with a file inside that you can further operate on. Learning Python is enough to get a job in a year. Yes, not only Python, probably basics of like the fundamentals of DSA, not very heavy, but DSA. But yes, Python would be a good tool to be on your side. Okay, so it will return a result that will have a file to it. Okay, so with the results, there are two things over here. One is a result from results in Rust, and one is from IO results result. So let me show you the difference and what are we going to use over here. So we are going to use IO result over here, that is mostly used for the IO operations. The results, thanks brother. Okay, thank you for subscribing. I hope you will find something useful over here. Thank you. So let's see difference between IO result and results like this. Maybe this is it, I don't know. In Rust, read write mmap, mutex with mmap. What? Okay, so IO result is a specific type alias for generic results. Here the error type is fixed as IO error. There is no type named result. Yes, okay, so yeah, this is result. Okay, so we are going to be using this IO result, right? Not result, because if we because we are doing an IO operation, right? So we'll do that, because the open option dot, I think the open, this method, it returns a file, but also summary. Okay, std result and IO result, a generic enum, a type alias for this thing, fixed as IO error. Generic E can be of any type you define. General error handling for operation errors, specialized for IO operation file network, often referred to as IO result to avoid shadowing the generic. Yes, okay, so it returns open option. If I go over here and I do this, maybe this over here, if I go one option, if I go, yeah, this is the same thing. So instead I will wrap this thing in result, the IO result self. It will be faster. Okay, that's an optimization. We'll do that. I will do the optimization later on. There are multiple things that we can do. So logger, so you see, now that I'm returning this thing, how we return a logger? If we have a return type as result, I'll do this thing. But still I'm getting an error. And why is that? Result file. Okay, it says maybe I need to do this. Use this operator to extract this. Did we miss something over here? error mutex file. You're parsing mutex result. It's the any version from TypeScript. So so this is a return type, right? No. Okay. So here we have our new implemented. So what we'll do, it will return sorry, right? Let me just scroll it up. Scroll up. Yeah, now the basic 80% work is done. If we are going to implement a logged version of this logger, now we need to have functions called like to log info and all, info error warning and all. So we'll do that. We can also have a function, that's what we discussed on the very top of the file, to format the message and something like that. So we can have this thing, say we'll have something over here, and what we are going to do over here, we'll pass a log or a message, and we'll have a level over here that will be of type log level, right? Now what we'll do, so if I say we'll have something like I'll say info, right? Occurred at, let's say I'll have something over here, and then I can do something like this for the info or the message that I want to log. So occurred at, I need a timestamp, right? I need a timestamp over here, and after that I need a message that I passed. I'll return this thing. So how do we calculate a timestamp? For that we already have added a crate called chrono. Now let's see how we can get the timestamp from chrono. Getting the current timestamp, no UTC now, UTC now dot timestamp, get the leading times in the seconds, local UTC now, right? UTC now, what is it? UTC from chrono now. What does it return? Current date in UTC, date naive. Okay, UTC now, so occurred at this thing, and this will be the message, right? The same thing goes for here as well. Log levels, if it is an error, I will format it something. A better way to do based on this thing, can we do it instead of like repeating these things? Can we log levels, if it's an info, yeah, let's do this thing. Occurred at, we'll have it over here, and then the message. One thing I forgot over here is to make this thing right. And over here I can say UTC now and the message, right? And I don't want to like use that, so I'll use the exhaustive casing over here. I'll just simply I'll simply say format. I don't want to type it, right? Warning or debug. I hope you get it. How do we do that, right? Create occurred at I'll say UTC now and the message. So I don't want to write this thing for like all the other things, right? So I'll simply use exhaustive case for everything apart from info and error, right? So you can always do this thing. You can write separately for debug and warning. All right, so we have our format method over here. Format logs. What do we have here? Info. Okay, now we need to write, let me just scroll it, log info. Now we will write methods to log info or error or something like that, right? So it will return nothing. So if I want to write log info, I'll say logger.log info. What I'll do, I'll pass in the message. I will define the level as well, what kind of level it is. Based on that thing, I'll simply log into a specific file. If it's an error, it will be logged to an error file, right? So log levels, right? Now we have some issues about results on the open options file, right? We have the issue on the open options over here because it was returning a result, right? So how do I parse it over here? So let's first figure out if I want to create this thing, I will have log info, right? So I need to figure out how can I write on log info. As we already discussed, if we are wrapping it on the mutex, we'll have to obtain the log using .log method, and then we'll have to do something, right? So how do we do that? So we'll do something like yeah, one more thing. As such, we didn't have anything over here because we are just formatting the methods from here. Can be no, yeah, but here we have to pass in like this. Now the difference between associated function and this function is associated functions will never have self, and we will always call them using the colon, double colon, right? And passing in the self reference over here is we will access, or we will have the access to all the parameters of the struct that we are currently like using impl on. And if we want to mutate those things, we'll have to make the end self mutable. Okay, so yeah, let's see how to do that. So we'll have something like self.info file, right? This is why we used self, to get hold on info file, right? So self.info file, what does it return? It returns the mutex file, right? So how can I operate on this thing? I'll say .log, right? Mutex guard result. Now it returns a result. It returns a result, either a file. It will return a mutex guard and a poison error, right? So some why didn't I use some? It's obvious, it's not an option, it's returning an result. So file, right? So I'll say file can, let me just check if I am getting the options. File dot flush, yes, I'm getting it. File dot flush. What does flush do? You know what flush do? File dot write all. I will just do this thing. I need a buffer, right? But the text that we'll get will certainly a string. So how do we convert this thing to on a buffer? We'll do as bytes. Now again, see, that's why I was saying it. So we have a cannot mutate an immutable variable, cannot mutate an immutable variable. I'm just testing, okay? I know it won't work. I have to do this. It says unused result, that unused variable levels. Yes, I was just testing it, right? How this is how we'll do info file. We'll have to achieve the lock using .log. That's what we discussed, and that .log will return a result. And that result, how we'll do? We'll use iflet statement for that. So we'll say iflet, okay, if we have a result, not in poison error, if we have a file, then I need to mutate that file with the, I'll just write all the stuff that I'm getting currently, and I will use .flush to quickly write entire thing onto a file without waiting for anything. So it will just flush everything. It's an expensive operation. Okay, so the thing is, while optimizing this thing, we'll have to make sure that only the errors would be flushed immediately, and we can create a buffer or a kind of a waiting queue, something for info logs. We can use some kind of range so that we can store up onto like info logs into different data structure. Once that limit is reached, we'll then do the write operation onto the file. So but error should be flushed immediately. Okay, now it says the levels. I haven't used the level, so we'll again do this thing. We'll use a match statement for the levels based on the log level that we'll get. We'll write onto info file, error file, warning file, or something like that. Sorry, I use match level. I'll say log level info that I already have written. Right, I need to cover all these things here now. Info, I'll say log levels error. Again the same thing will be there, only the file name would be changed, right? So instead of this info file we'll have error file, right? And one more thing, we haven't utilized our format string or format log method. We are just writing the message, this thing, right? So what we'll do, instead of this message over here, maybe we can just format it on the way, right? So instead of directly writing this thing, I will say self dot. Okay, again I cannot call self dot format because the format logs doesn't have self. So I'll just do this. I have to have this, right? Otherwise I'll have to call logger double colon format logs, right? That will be a associated function if we don't include self. So if I'll say self dot, now I'll get it hopefully, format logs. I'll pass in the message and message and the levels, and once I get things I'll read it as, like, pass it as a bytes to convert it into a stream of U8. Not a stream, basically a wrong choice of words. So should I do the exhaustive casing or should I write for everything? I hope you guys understand how we do that. I'm only going to demonstrate on info and errors, right? You know what, let's do this thing if we are doing this. So exhaustive casing on the match help us to cover all the available options. I'll say warning occurred. So here I'll have to cover debug. No, it's not warning, it's debug. All right, let's cover this thing as well. Oh my god, warning. Oh my god. Instead of this error I'll just simply use warning file. The debug as well. Are we ready? All right. Okay, it says blah blah blah, unused result. What does it do? Does it return result? It returns a result. Now it this operator can only be used, so absolute worst way to do so, to use unwrap, but again probably you guys can implement a secured version for it. That could be a take-home assignment over here if you want. It's the worst way to do so, by the way. You only do that when you are sure. Basically you should handle the errors gracefully, but what else can you expect from a guy who's catched cold, fever, cough all together? All right. Amazing. So we have info log. You know what? Instead of info logs, we can say log. We can say trace logs. Let's create this function trace logs. Based on the log level, it will just simply just do its thing. All right. And this approach is currently very very raw, very blocking. We can always improve this thing. We'll do that. We already are hitting the timeline. Okay. Now we already have this thing in place, as I already told. Let me just create a folder logs, because I don't want to check it programmatically. Right. Now let's do a beautiful thing. I need to initiate and use this thing now. What else? What is the purpose of doing this if I am not able to use it? How can I use it? I'll say simply, first of all, I'll do this. I'll say let logger equals logger you see the difference? I'm not calling logger.new by using dot. I'm calling logger.new by using double colon, right? So yeah, so new. I have the instance here right now, so I have the instance of all the four things: info, error, debug, warning, right? So let's say this is not our very simple application. Let's say this is our highly complicated Rust server that is working on like tens of thousands of API requests per 5 seconds. Let's say we are on our controller, not a single thing. We have some highly complex trading logic over here. Now I want to log the info for that, the errors for that, right? So how will I do that? Let's say this is my function that has some high quality Rust code written. Right? Now I want to log things over here. So what I'll do, I'll say logger dot logger dot trace. What the hell? Logger. No way. I want this thing, trace logs, something like that. I'll pass it something over here like this. I need to figure out why. If you guys understand why this is not able to figure out the trace logs method that I created, let me know in the chat. We'll say something like high quality method started, right? And I need to define log levels over here as well. So I'll say log levels. What kind of log level it is? It's an info, right? Yeah. So I'll have something like this, right? So now let's copy this thing. Let's say over here I'll say the method just ended over here, right? High quality method ended, right? The same way we'll do if we encounter any error. Let's say over here, let's say I'll say logger dot trace logs. Now it's time to trace an error. Oops. So I'll say format error occurred, right? And the log level is of type error. The same goes for debug and warning as well. I hope you get it. Now if you understand why I'm not getting trace logs method here, can you guys see? Maybe we can check it over here. It says this thing, method does not found in no method named trace logs. Have we defined it public? Let's go inside it. Okay, pub new blah blah pafang. What else? No, that's not an issue. But here I'm getting something. The method trace. Let me just extend this screen. Trace log exists on the type logger. Trace log exists on the type logger. Then what is it? What the hell? I'm not getting it. What the hell? I'm not getting it, guys. Let's see. What do we have here? It says the method not found on this thing. Consider using result expect to unwrap the panicking if the value is this thing logger dot expect. Method not found. Oops. What is the return resulting? Oh, motherfucker, it's returning a result. The new returning a result. Man, I'll have to go the most unsafe way to do so. Phew. We are here. Alright, we have the most unsafe yet beautiful piece of thing over here. Let's test it. So one thing over here, don't use unwrap. Probably we'll have to handle the error, right? It's returning a result, so we'll have to use something to track the error so that the application doesn't panic. But again, that could be a take-home assignment. So now let's run this thing. Let me just open the terminal over here. Let me just make it this thing. Okay. All right. Cargo. Should I? You can simply tell us what are you doing. What are your objective? Hello, Krishna. I'm just creating a logger in Rust. So the logger you must have seen on your prod grade apps, right? If anything occurs, you track the logs somewhere so that you can just visit those things while debugging to see what's the error going on, or if you want to trace any info, right? So that's what I'm doing over here. So I created a Rust project that simply logs to the file based on the log level that is provided by the user. So yeah, that's it. It's a very crude, simple way to do so. It's a blocking thing. First of all, it's not I'm not kind of utilizing any channel right here, not a specific thread only for this thing, but a complete stupid blocking way to do so. But it's a start. It's a cold start that could be optimized. So it's just, so cargo build. So let's run this thing. I hope you understand. We already have logged these things, right? So we have logged 2 info logs and 1 error logs. So I already said this block represents our controller, a controller where we have written high quality Rust, some trading code, something like that. So I just started 2 info logs over here based on the log level and the logs that I gave, right? And the error over here. So this error could be thrown from a function, not this heavily hard-coded thing, right? So I'll cargo run, so I'll see these things over here, and then one thing we will learn specifically about the append and write thing that I discussed earlier while implementing open options function method that is struct, right? So if I do cargo run, now I am having an error. It says no such file or directory. Yes, so that is why the error occurs. Why this thing? We have hidden features over here, right? Target getting the main log. So I want this thing over logs, right? So this is what I was showing. Open option works only for files. So if we don't have a structure present, it will throw an error. So if I go over here, you see I'm trying to open this thing, logs, info logs and all, right? You should avoid under. Yes, of course I've been keep saying this from in this stream. This is the most unsafe way to do so. You should handle errors gracefully. Yeah, so we have logs. Inside this we have info dot log, right? So if I want to log over here, so I'll have to remove this thing. So if you want a directory, like you need to keep a directory check over here, right? So if the directory is not available, you can create this thing. So I'm not pushing any directory right now because this doesn't work with directory. Okay, now let's run again. Where is the second thing? Where is the second terminal? I need to open it. Let's just make it okay. All right, it ran. I hope it logged the message over here. Yeah, so we have 4 files created over here: debug, error, info, warning. Why they all get created? Because on the new that we created, we kind of initiated those by using open options. And let's see what happens. So we only log info and error, right? So if I open debug, you'll see nothing. If I open warning, you'll see nothing. If I open error, you will see this thing. Yeah, error occurred at this thing, blah 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 blah, error occurred, our message. And if I open info, you'll say high quality message started, high quality message ended. So info.log has some issue with this. Basically there should be a line break, and these are the two info logs that we have created. We'll look into this thing, but I hope you get this thing. Now the important thing that we discussed is, if I run this thing again, if I run the project again, the write function of the open option will overwrite everything. That should not be. Bro, are you using nvim? Yes. So if I use write and then again run the project, then it will just remove all the present logs that are already available on the file and just replace that thing. That should not be the case unless you have a specific function or thing written for auto rotation of logs, right? So yeah, write does that. How to see that? How do we show that? Let me open the terminal over here. Why should I open this? Cargo run. So if I run again, you see I have run again, right? So what actual log should do is, there are already logs present. It should just add it or append it at the end of the present file, right? But you see, again it just replaced the entire thing. It replaced the entire thing. So that is why we will not use open options dot write, right? So we'll use append. It appends onto the end of a file, and like under the hood it implements dot write as well. So as I already told, if we are working with open option, then we will have to define some flags that we want to read it, we want to create it, we want to write it, right? So we need to have those things. But if you are using dot append, then we don't have to specifically write dot write. So I'll just copy this thing and remove this with append with everything. Now let's see how this goes. Alright, now let's run again. Again few times. Now let's see how does it go. So if I do a cat on info, you see how many times we have this thing, multiple entries now. Now that this works like a log, right? We already have something. So yeah, we have this thing, right? So that's how write and append, the difference between these things is 19 votes so far. 21% says they are not a dev, but rest of the 3 are good. So yeah, now this is the most unpolished thing, blocking thing that I have written. You guys can always polish it as a take home assignment. You can work on it. Next video, on when I come next live, we'll try to implement another version for it. We'll try to remove all the unwraps and try to handle the errors gracefully, and we will implement a thread safe non-blocking thing for it by using channels. So we'll implement channels, MPSC channels, and we'll have a separate thread that will work only on the IO operations, leaving the main program thread, that thing, untouched, you know. So yeah, we'll do that next time. So yeah, this is it. I already have that my GitHub handle on the chat, matrx123, matrx123. You'll see me there. This code will be uploaded there. Okay, so you guys can check that out. Follow me there as well. Actually the info logs were not just doing this thing, right? Info, I'm not getting the info occurred at thing, right? So if I go on the main file, I'll have this thing. Log levels info. Did I not call down info? Anyways, write all and flush as bytes. Ooh, why? Because I'm just simply writing the message as bytes. Instead, I should use self dot format logs, and then over here, whatever I get, I'll just have it as bytes. Amazing, it's done. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. It was fun coming on to this thing. I was getting, bored. Also, I'm not feeling well, so I thought, why not come online and cough on your screen, motherfuckers. Alright, I'll see you next time. If you have any questions after the video, wait for my next stream. Okay, boy. Should I close this with? Okay, yeah, so this is what I'm doing. Here is my screen, my OBS over here. Here is my this window over here, chat window. Yeah, alright guys, bye bye. It was fun. I'll see you next time.